Hey guys, in today's video I'll be doing another tropical update on, and this is a pretty major one because now the National Hurricane Center will now be initiating advisories on Tropical Depression 14 located in the Caribbean Sea at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So, earlier this morning we got Tropical Depression 13 from what was Invest 98L. Now, Invest 97L is about to become Tropical Depression 14 officially within the next few minutes of the 11 a.m. advisory, and we'll see what the chances are for this system at the 11 a.m. advisory. Currently, this third disturbance, which potentially could become our next system, has a 20% chance of formation within the next 48 hours and a 40% chance of formation within the next 5 days. So that's very interesting, especially because of the fact that originally they were saying, oh, it's not really supposed to develop because of the fact that it's going to be moving into a more hostile environment, kind of a more unfavorable environment when it comes off the coast into this region just south of the Cabo Verde Islands. Though it says currently that a tropical wave over Western Africa is producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms near the Africa coast. The wave is expected to move over the far eastern tropical Atlantic on Friday, and some slow development is possible through the weekend and while it moves west-northwestward at 15 to 20 miles per hour across the eastern tropical Atlantic. So they do have the potential that a pretty medium, kind of 50-50 potential that maybe it could form into our next name system over the next, 5 days or so. Moving into towards the end of this week into the beginning of next week, we could be potentially seeing maybe potentially nano forming the N name storm, because we're gonna have the L and M name storm from 98 and 97L. So that's really just really crazy to think about. Plus, there's a whole nother vigorous wave right behind this one that's going to be continuing to move west into the Atlantic. So, this train of tropical waves that could become tropical systems in the Atlantic will just keep going, and we'll see how many named storms we get out of all of these waves that just continue to come off of Africa into the Atlantic. So, this is a very, very active time, and so, we just gotta be prepared. We really, really got to be prepared. Now, I'll go back to this once we officially get this to become Tropical Depression 14, so we can click on it and see the track for it. Let's look at the track, though, for Tropical Depression 13. You can see the National Hurricane Center has already put up tropical storm watches for the northern Leeward Islands, and they do expect it to potentially continue to move towards. They do expect it to continue to move towards the north and west. Could become a tropical storm, in fact, later today. This is actually the 11 a.m. advisory. It seems it's just come out because this is the 11 a.m. cone. This is the newest cone. And the biggest change that they've kind of had really for it is the fact that it will become a tropical storm most likely later today, and then it will stay a tropical storm as it heads towards the north, just to the north of Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Haiti, and Cuba. And then as it approaches Florida, now they have the chance for it to become a hurricane as the center, or wherever the system may be towards this point in time around early Monday morning. Could be a hurricane as it's continuing to move towards the northwest towards Florida and within near the Bahamas and maybe into the Gulf. Now, there is still a potential that the system could curve towards the north earlier and go up the east coast. Now, the most likely scenario is that it continues west into the Gulf and impacts the Gulf Coast somewhere, most likely probably towards the Florida Panhandle or the Alabama coastline. Well, really, of course, that is pretty far out, really damn far out. So we're just gonna have to continue to monitor this over the next few days, going into this weekend, into next week, and then of course we have the newest. Let's actually reload this page, see if we can get Tropical Depression 14 from this. Not yet. Doesn't seem. That's unfortunate, but yeah, as you saw the cone there, yeah. that's a potential. We'll come back to it in, I don't know, a few minutes to show you, so I can show you the cone and whatever else for Tropical Depression 13 or 14. Sorry, Tropical Depression 14. See if Tropical Depression 14 they put out any watches or warnings for the Central America, Yucatan areas at all. But we'll see. Now let's go to Tropical Tidbits in the meantime, and I'll show you. Here's Tropical Depression 13. This was Invest 98L. And here's the hurricane model track guidance. You can see, just like what the National Hurricane Center showed with its cone, showed the best potential that it'll just go just to the north of Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Cuba, and then potentially will impact Florida or most likely go into the Gulf. There are some that keep it further to the north and east and bringing more towards the east coast of Florida. So there's that potential. That's very slight potential still, but it seems much more likely that it will continue towards the more southern parts of these models and go farther west, impact southern Florida and go into the Gulf. So that's, I mean, in general, though, the hurricane models have a really good handle on this system, surprisingly. Pretty much all the way through, honestly. They do have a much wider error zone as it gets towards Florida, but still, it's pretty compact, even that far out, which is pretty impressive, honestly. Here's the GFS ensemble model track guidance. This is the GFS ensembles, and you can see shows it to continue towards the north and west, continue to the west, go north of Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and Cuba, impact southern Florida, and then kind of curve around into the Gulf Coast, and then up through the southeast mid-Atlantic U.S., and then go back over into the Atlantic just south of New England. So that's very, very interesting. It's kind of an extended range type of forecast from the GFS ensemble tracks model guidance. But, who knows? That could happen. I don't know. But at this point, it seems what we do think is most likely at this point is that it will continue towards the west generally, most likely go north of the islands here, and then as it gets closer towards the Bahamas and Florida, most likely will impact southern Florida and go into the Gulf, then go further curve north earlier and impact the east coast of Florida and those areas. So that seems to be the most likely scenario for the system currently, but we'll just have to continue to monitor this throughout the rest of this week, as I have been saying. The GEPS model track guidance. This is the CMC ensemble model track guidance. All of the CMC Canadian models all put together, and you can see they show kind of something a little bit further towards the north and east than what all of the general hurricane model track guidance is showing. Kind of shows, let me zoom in here so you guys can see that closer. See, it kind of generally goes up straight through Florida and then curves out into the Atlantic and goes kind of more off out to sea off the east coast and kind of brushes out towards New England and then, kind of out to sea, impacts Nova Scotia or something. Maybe, anything is possible with this system still. We'll just have to see. What's most interesting is the Tropical Depression 13's model intensity guidance, because you can see that all of the models do take it to become a tropical storm at the least. And then a good amount of them take it potentially into hurricane status. Now, there are some really boom models that really intensify this and make it a Category 2, 3, even one showing a Category 4. That's all possible with this system, especially if it is able to go just to the north of all those islands of Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Cuba, all those areas. If it goes just to the north, it will continue to be over water, those really warm waters, and have the most opportunity to strengthen even more. So, this could end up becoming a fairly weaker system if it does end up tracking over the islands, or it could become a fairly strong system if it stays just to the north and continues west towards Florida. So, we just really got to watch the system very, very closely. Now let's show you Invest 97L, which, oh, by the way, the satellite imagery, the system clearly you can tell it's definitely going to be a tropical depression because, I mean, look at all of that great convection with it. I mean, it's honestly beautiful. Now, here's the hurricane model track guidance. You can see there it is right there, and then it'll continue towards the north and west, curve towards the west, and then curve towards the north and west, kind of brush Central America, go over the Yucatan, and then continue towards the northwest and impact potentially Texas or Louisiana. This reminds me a lot of kind of what Harvey did, the kind of Harvey's track. Now, of course, it remains to be seen if the system kind of tries to do that kind of Harvey thing of rapidly intensifying up towards its landfall somewhere along the Gulf Coast. But as of right now, it kind of seems like it most likely will take a general kind of same track as Harvey did. But, you know, we'll just have to continue to see what happens. Here's the GEFS ensemble track guidance. You can see the GFS model track guidance really keeps this weaker and kind of much further towards the west, kind of more making landfall more towards Mexico and very southern Texas. You know, I doubt that. The CMC, the GEPS model track guidance, ensemble model track guidance, seems a lot more believable. And you can see why. It continues towards the west, curves towards the northwest, goes kind of over the Yucatan into the Gulf, and I mean, it has a much more spread out scenario, so, you know, it could landfall anywhere, but, you know, it shows the mean is making landfall at this point, thinks mean is making landfall at around between Texas and Louisiana. And, you know, that could definitely happen. We'll just have to continue to monitor both these systems very, very closely. Here's the model intensity guidance forecast, kind of as of right now. It has it, you know, now becoming a tropical depression, and majority of them take it into tropical storm status. One of them takes it into hurricane status. So as of right now, it's looking fairly likely that we will see a tropical system out of this, most likely a tropical storm. So it looks like we will get our M-name storm, which would be Marco. We'll see how intense this system gets. You know, at this point, it looks more likely that it will just be a tropical storm. There's that one model that takes it into hurricane status. So hurricane status for this 97L would really now tropical depression 14. It doesn't look likely that it could become a hurricane at this point, though that will most likely change a lot, especially if it survives and enters the Gulf after, you know, impacting the Yucatan, Central America. So that's definitely something we're going to have to really, really watch. Now, let's show you, I'm not going to show you the GFS model forecast for these systems because the GFS hasn't really been doing that well at all with it. I'll show you the CMC, Icon, Euro models for this. Let's go to the Western Atlantic. Let's do that. Now, ooh, man, this is kind of annoying. Here we go. Okay. So you can see there's the CMC. This is very slow. I really apologize for how slow this is being. You can see it shows there's the two systems. There's tropical depression 13, tropical depression 14. And as we move this farther out into time, shows both systems winding up very nicely. Especially tropical depression 13 has it really winding up nicely, especially over Hispaniola, having it down to a 999 millibar system, but a very, very compact 999 millibar system. There's a tropical depression 14. Moves both systems, continue into the Gulf for tropical depression 14, tropical depression 13. CMC shows it kind of a little further towards the east, closer towards the east coast of Florida. You know, so we'll have to see about that. So there's that. And then it does kind of have it diagonally crossing Florida from the east coast up through the west coast and then towards, come on, load. Oh, man, I really hate how this website is acting. But you can see it shows both systems kind of in the Gulf at some point, potentially at the exact same point in time, at some point in time over the next few days going into next week. And you can see both systems kind of really wind up and continue over towards the tropical depression 13 kind of maybe briefly, according to this model, briefly goes back into the Gulf and then curves back into the Florida Panhandle and then goes up through the southeast and dies out, and then kind of starts to die out and then goes back over the Atlantic and then really dies out as it heads over there, and then shows Tropical Depression 14 dying out, making landfall and dying out over into Mexico and very southern Texas. That'll really change, though it does, at this point, it's a good indication that really the CMC and the Icon models have been really good models to use for both these systems, because they've been very consistent with showing these systems really forming. Here's the Icon. Man, we gotta really let this load. Come on. Please load. Man, should have loaded this up before I record the video. Oh, come on. Wi-Fi isn't that bad, is it? I mean, it shows both the systems. There's Tropical Depression 13, Tropical Depression 14. You know, so not exactly. It shows, you know, kind of a nicely wound up system for Tropical Depression 14. Tropical Depression 13 kind of struggling a little bit, but you can see as we move farther forward into time, shows both systems really kind of trying to get their act together and winding up more and getting a little stronger over time. So that is a good thing. You can see, geez, come on. Man, this thing is so damn slow. Hate it. You know what? I'm just going to go to the end of the run. Then you can see both systems. It shows it continuing to kind of move towards, it shows Tropical Depression 13 going to the north of Puerto Rico, and, you know, that's what the models have been showing generally. You can see it shows Tropical Depression 14 kind of barely hitting the Yucatan, and then it'll most likely show it heading more into the Gulf as the model starts to show more out in time as we go into the next rest of the week. Now the European model I'll show you just so you can kind of get a kind of a general gist of where both systems kind of go. Shows it starts to show a better vorticity for Tropical Depression 14, and then it hits Texas. It's surprising. It's not really showing Tropical Depression 13 at all with that. That's very, very odd. So, yeah, I don't know what that's doing. But, yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's generally showing kind of both systems. It's really, the models we really got to use right now is the CMC and Icon. Now, for the fun of it, I'll show you what the Hurricane models, like the HWRF model and the HMOD models, are showing for both these systems, because it's just fun to show you that. Let's go to the beginning of the run, so I can show you all the way through. It's going to take a while to load in, but I can tell you this. It's really showing really interesting stuff, especially as I've been seeing these models show over the past few days with their scenarios. They're crazy, crazy scenarios. Come on. Load in, please. But you can see, yeah, I mean, for Tropical Depression 13, shows it's starting to wind up more, 1,005 millibar low pressure center. But then as we head farther out in time, you can see it starts to strengthen more and becomes a, what is that, 998 or 996 millibar low pressure system, I think. And then as we head farther out in time, it really shows a much, much stronger system. This is a, oh geez, what, how strong is this? This is a 962 millibar system, I think. And then let's see, where does this show? There's the Bahamas. So there's the Bahamas. It's getting closer and closer towards Florida as a very, very strong system. There's Florida. There we go. You can see it really becomes a very compact, very strong system as it impacts very, very southern Florida and the Keys. And then it shows it continuing to move over very southern Florida and probably heads kind of into the Gulf a bit. So that's very, very interesting for that. Now I'll show you the, man, that is crazy, crazy shit. And I'll show you the HMON model, show you what the HMON model is showing. Let's let this load in. But both models are just going crazy with this system. And honestly, I mean, who knows? It could become extremely strong. You know, it could become our first major hurricane of the season for Tropical Depression 14 or 13. So, you know, I mean, that's not out of the question, especially now with the time frame we're in now. So, you know, we're just really going to have to track this system very, very closely. Man, this is taking a long time to load. I don't understand what's going on with this. It's so weird. You know, there's the system. You know, I don't understand what's going on. Come on. You can see at that point kind of gets a little bit more lopsided with the precipitation all towards its eastern side. But as we head farther out in time, you can see it starts to wrap around more and more and tries to become stronger. At this point, it's... where is it? At this point, it's getting closer towards the northern Leeward Islands. So it's starting to really get its act together, trying to really strengthen a bit more. Man, we gotta really let this thing load in. Jesus. Really apologize for how long this is taking. My gosh. Wow. There's the system. As it's getting closer to going north of Puerto Rico, it's getting stronger and stronger. Man, this is very, very slow. God, I really hate this. But I think, yeah, I mean, you can get the general gist of it. It's going to be showing a very strong system as you head farther out in time. Oh, jeez, this has been a very, very long video. I apologize for how long this has been. Jeez. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video for what I've been showing you, even with how slow it's been. Man, this is really not loading at all. Let's reload the NHC's page. There we go, Tropical Depression 14. I'll show you the cone. There we go. Yeah, so it's showing it becoming a tropical storm, most likely later today. Just like Tropical Depression 13, both systems look to become a tropical storm later today. So we could have Laura and Marco both as we head farther into today, going into the afternoon today or evening. And then it shows it curving, doing that curve towards the north and west, kind of barely impacting the Yucatan. Barely impacting Central America after tropical storm watches up for those areas. Going over the Yucatan a bit, staying a tropical storm and continuing into the Gulf as a tropical storm, and has it ending towards most likely making landfall either in Texas or Louisiana. We'll see how that goes. See how that trends. That does seem like the most likely scenario at this point. So again, we'll just have to continue to monitor this. And then finally, 2020 Atlantic hurricane season Wikipedia page. We've had 14 total depressions now, which will become our next two named storms. And then we have that other tropical disturbance coming off of Africa into the Atlantic. We'll see how that goes, that system goes. But we're going to continue to see all of these tropical systems tropical waves to continue to come from Africa into the Atlantic, and that train probably is going to continue for quite a while. So again, that's going to be very, very interesting to see. Most likely we'll see Laura and Marco later today. And yeah, so that's really it for today's update, guys, on the tropics, on the Atlantic's tropics. It's crazy today, just going crazy today. Really hope you enjoyed this long video. I apologize for how long it's been, but I really hope you did enjoy, though. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're a first-time viewer and you liked what you saw in today's video at all, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.